There's a spot in Tombstone territory. Family cabins are shaded by trees, and 95-year-old Percy Henry has plans to spruce it up a bit.
So I sure like to do something with this. Get cat level all this stuff.
In this space, with his wife and granddaughter nearby, Percy shares stories of his life, of his knowledge, and of his language.
Jijik na kai de kairo. Ikotaisi fresh bush track. You pull it up.
Percy is the last fluent speaker of the Tr'ondëk dialect of Han, the traditional language of the Tr'ondëk Hwëch'in First Nation. Han runs through this family. They've each played a part in its preservation and future. And at the center of it all,
Elder Percy Henry and I teach kids Han language.
Percy is an unlikely teacher. His journey with Han didn't start until he was an adult. In fact, it's his third language. Hwëch'in is Percy's native language, followed by English and then Han. Percy learned Han through immersion, working alongside Han speaker Stanley Roberts at a sawmill in Mayo. Stanley only spoke Han to Percy, forcing him to learn the language over about 8 years.
And he just picked up the language from then on because, of course, Hwëch'in and Han are quite similar. Tr'ondëk Hwëch'in, George at McLeod, Dawson Hwëch'in, I live in Dawson, and Tr'ondëk Hwëch'in I am Tr'ondëk Hwëch'in, I'm Wolf, and Tr'ondëk Hwëch'in Han Hejik Tr'ondëk. I work for Tr'ondëk Hwëch'in Han language.
That introduction in Han, this song and dance, they're all triumphs and perseverance. Battles won in the fight to save Han from the brink of extinction.
The last stragglers had attained their Mecca. The miners in the creeks had finished their winter's work. The carnival had reached its climax.
Everything changed for the Tr'ondëk Hwëch'in during the gold rush of 1898. Dawson City swelled to about 30,000 people, the largest city west of Winnipeg and north of Seattle. The Tr'ondëk Hwëch'in were forced from the area and relocated to their Moosehide camp downriver from Dawson. That upheaval and the colonial systems that still exist today nearly wiped out the language and culture of the Tr'ondëk Hwëch'in. In the 1990s, there was new hope and renewed effort to bring Han back, starting in the classroom. And at the front of the class, another person central to the modern story of Han, a translator, a teacher, and also a student of Percy.
Shulray Angie Joseph Rare. Oh, Percy, he's always been my teacher and my mentor. Even today he is, we work really well together. Yeah, he was one of our teachers, and he's our only teacher today.
Angie worked as the language coordinator for the Tr'ondëk Hwëch'in First Nation. She and Percy started their language work together in 1991. Angie helped capture the language from speakers, including Percy. And that's still a big part of Percy's work, recording the language on tape so it can be saved and studied. And that work is intense. Percy will speak and then translate, often for long stretches.
Grandpa.
A little like this.
Chew Cutney then?
Chew Cutney then.
Chukatnithan.
You want cold water?
Chukatnithan. You want cold water. In that phrase, in all of Percy's words, there's a roadmap for Han. Georgette and her team use his words to create a structure for Han, sometimes getting help from linguists outside the community. And through Percy, they discover verb structure and vocabulary.
I still have epiphanies to this day, and I'm like, oh, I understand now this connection between these various things just by looking at the language and trying to look at the writing of the language and then talking with Percy about it.
Despite the hard work of the Tr'ondëk Hwëch'in, Han is still in trouble. Percy is the only fluent speaker of the Tr'ondëk dialect of Han. Now there is another Han dialect from Eagle, Alaska. For years, the two sides have worked together to keep Han alive. Today, there are 5 fluent Eagle dialect speakers. That means in total, there are 6 known fluent speakers of Han between the two communities.
What I think is going to happen is that we're going to have to heavily rely on that other dialect of the language and other First Nation languages to keep carrying our Han language forward.
And the language is moving forward. Han is on the buildings of Dawson City. There's a treasure trove of resources online. It's even on social media.
And this is all a result of the work that we do with Percy.
I don't know how he did it. Like, honestly, it must have been like so much hard work. I mean, Han isn't even a written language originally. My name is Annie, and I'm from Dawson. I grew up there my whole life.
Annie Prosy is Percy's granddaughter, and also, in a way, his biographer. The Tr'ondëk Hwëch'in First Nation asked Annie to record her grandpa's life story. They worked together for almost a year to create a film that captures Percy and Han. Annie says she always thinks about how hard it must be for her grandpa to be the last Han speaker, to have no one to talk to in Han, and the knowledge that your memory is the key to keeping the language alive.
I kind of want to get to a point where I'm able to sort of have a conversation with my grandpa and Han, because I think it'd be kind of special to go there and speak with him in his language.
He is trying to gift the language to the next generation of speakers.
Percy has many students, many people who learn from him. And because he's on tape, people will be able to learn from him for years to come. Not just about the language, but about what it holds.
Your relationship with the world is sort of reflected through the language and how you speak of it.
Our identity and our culture and the way we live are all one. One cannot live without the other.
Annie says her grandpa taught her to go into things with an open mind and a willingness to learn. And he taught her to listen. She urges other young people to seek out their elders with the same openness.
They just need to step out of their comfort zone and approach their elders and say, hey, I want to learn. Can you tell me about this?
When the elder talk, you gotta listen.
Through his work with his granddaughter and with the Tr'ondëk Hwëch'in First Nation, through his gift of the Han language, people will always be able to listen to Elder Percy Henry. Megan Roberts, CBC News, in Tombstone Territorial Park, Yukon.